The college football experience top 10 2023 quarterback transfer episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks, brought to you by Shady Rays. Yes, go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast tailor-made Stealth 2 driver giveaway. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver to enter today before the big drawing on April 8th. We're also brought to you by Baseball Money is Fake. Yes, that's our fantasy baseball podcast. Join Blake and Ryan 3 times a week as they get all the player breakdowns and statistical data that you need to dominate. So make sure you check them out. And remember, folks, as always, to let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. It's football season now, baby. All right, as college basketball comes to a halt after last night's national championship game, and it's football from here on out. Yeah, we'll be still tuning into college basketball experience. We're going to talk coaching breakdown, stuff like that, transfer portal, conference realignment, but we're shifting our main focus all the way to college football. Also some college baseball. I know my East Carolina Pirates going to win the national championship in college baseball. Make sure you check out all 3 podcasts: the college basketball experience, the college baseball experience, and the college football experience. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, well, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, AKA Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, tailless pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
You are gonna pay for it. Good night. Shout out to Joseph in the chat, says I can't wait for some CUSA football games. Yes, love the fact this October, the CUSA, the new CUSA, by the way, they're going to be playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games. It's going to be fantastic. College football 2023 is here. Let's start talking everything, every fucking thing, because you know that we're going to talk all 133 FBS teams. And don't forget, I also host the FCS show as well. Shout out to Kai, says, what's up, Colby? I'm doing great, guys. Shifting, you know, college basketball comes to a halt. Bummed out. There's no more games there, but this is where the transition happens as we move towards college football. And obviously we got some college baseball going on as well, but you know, we love football here. We love football. And I thought it'd be this year's just each year. I feel like the transfer portal plays a bigger factor and a bigger factor and a bigger factor. We're seeing it on the college basketball front right now, but college football, there was a shit ton, specifically at the quarterback position. The current climate is that, hey, you can't play quarterback. If I'm not starting, I'm out. I'm going to the other school. You know, I'm going to the next school down the road. So that adds for just a shit ton of transfers. So we're trying to essentially pinpoint which ones we think will be the best. I'm going to probably go through like the more than 10 because I have some that I'm going to make my case for that I think I'm looking at the 10 that'll be the best, like biggest impact to the team. as far as statistics, as far as just making the team, lighten it up for them. So yeah, shout out to Weehawk who alerts me that ECU is up 11-7 over NC State right now in the 8th. Let's fucking go. That is correct. Yes, but so the football season kicks off, late August. We got the week 0 matchups and everything, but there's a lot. First off, I'm doing this transfer episode right now. The portal's going to open back up, and who knows what can happen. I think if memory serves me correct, Joe Burrow was one of those late transfers a few years back, and he almost went to the Cincinnati Bearcats. It was that close to him being a Cincinnati Bearcat that LSU would have been stuck with Miles Brennan and 0 national championships in the Orgeron era. But instead he chooses LSU, and the rest is history. So we're going to try our best to give you the ones now. There might be some late ones, but there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to this college football season. I think every almost every fan base should be excited. Even Iowa fans should be excited. We'll talk about that in a bit. I want to tell you folks though, that the college football experience is brought to you by Shady Rays. Yes. Kick off the new year with new gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much, much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers truly a world-class product that's as good as any expensive pair of sunglasses you've ever worn. All right. They got durable frames and extremely clear optics in case you're into the outdoor adventures. Come on, get those clear optics. That's not all though. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. All of it. This is truly insane. All right. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacement. Yes. So let's say you and the wife go out on a fucking hot air balloon, right? You're going over wherever, the Mississippi River, and you look down, and damn if your glasses don't come flying off your head with the little gust of wind. Maybe from the guy working the hot air balloon. Who knows? All of a sudden your sunglasses are falling down into the old Mississippi River, and you got the blues worse than BB King ever fucking had. All right. Well, guess what you can do? You land that, well, assuming you get off that hot air balloon in one piece, right? You can go back to Shady Rays and you get yourself a brand new pair of sunglasses. You'll be walking around town like the coolest son of a bitch on this side of the Mississippi. All right. They're not even going to ask questions. They're just going to say, hey, here's your sunglasses. Oh, yo, you don't want me to tell you the story that I was out on a hot air balloon? No, save that one for your grandmother. All right. So check out Shady Rays. All right. You got to wear Shady Rays with confidence too, because they have your back long after your guarantee. As I just said, with Shady Rays, you can look good. You can feel good. Look, to date, they've donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger. They're feeding America. Their heart's in the right place. Gotta love it. If you don't love them, you can exchange, your for a new pair, or you can return them for free within 30 days. Come on. Say you don't like the pair, right? They got 30 days. You could switch it up. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. And right now, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving you the best deal of the new year. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized glasses. Try for yourself too. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. That's a lot of people. They're saying it's okay. Check out Shady Rays. Oh man, I see the chat moving along. Rob Donaldson said, I just now popped in on this college football talk, and you're talking about BB King and hot air balloons. You never know where we're going to go on the college football experience. It's part of the journey. Hope you appreciate the Bud Bowl ad that we got going on the top right corner. Shout out to Bud Bowl. Please bring it back, baby. Bring it back. But anyway, let's dive into this because we got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot to talk about at the quarterback position. And here's what's interesting. You pull up whatever your site is for, the transfer ratings. And like, if I pull it up 24/7 Sports, no disrespect to 24/7 Sports. I like what they do, but at the same time, I could argue this all day. They list the biggest quarterbacks they rank them. I'm going to completely disagree with this order, but they have, they do have their rankings there. We'll talk about them as we go on. But yeah, I have a lot to say about the rankings. It depends what they're basing. If they're basing it off of like, hey, this guy's skill set, I'm saying what team is a match, why it makes sense. So let's talk about this right now, cause I got my 10. And you'll be surprised at number 10, I was actually kind of all over the place as far as who to put at number 10. I made a case that it should be a few people. I had like 5 people tied for this spot, but I decided to just trim it down for one. And I got Sam Jackson. Yes, and I hope they burn in hell, right? Sam Jackson transferred from TCU going to Cal. Now, here's why I like this. I'm not saying which one is the best, is it talent for the NFL? I'm saying for their schemes. Cal loses their starting quarterback from last season, who transferred to and Jack Plummer transferred to Louisville, where he's reunited with Jeff Brom. So they look to Sam Jackson, but they're not only doing that, they hired Jake Spavital. Jake Spavital used to be Cal's offensive coordinator back when they had Sonny Dykes, just coaching the national championship. They're going to be, so we're seeing an overhaul in the Cal offensive philosophy. They've actually been kind of stagnant. Bill Musgrave was running the offense. They were not an explosive offense over the past few years, but now Sam Jackson transfers in from TCU. And they hired Jake Spavital. And I think this offense is going to put up points. So from a yardage perspective, from a talent perspective, I think Sam Jackson is going to be the guy that many will say, wow, who is this kid over there? Snakes on a plane in Berkeley. All right. Because I just think Jake Spavital, I know it didn't work out with him as head coach at Texas State, but he's a proven offensive coordinator that I think can get points on the board for the Golden Bears. Also, you look around the Pac-12, not known for their elite defense. Okay, yes, Oregon State was a great defense last year, and what even Utah's defense wasn't quite what Utah's defense traditionally is. So I think Sam Jackson might be able to have himself quite a decent season there. Now, I want to mention who I had him up against. I had him up against Alan Bowman, who was a Michigan backup, but used to start at Texas Tech. Bowman now is a grad transfer that is going to Stillwater, Oklahoma. I have Alan Bowman ranked higher than Spencer Sanders, just because Spencer Sanders is transferring to Ole Miss, where he's competing for a job with two other quarterbacks. So we don't know that Spencer Sanders is even starting in Oxford, Mississippi. And with that being an unknown, I feel like you can't have him ranked in your top 10 because you don't know that he's starting. I think Bowman's going to start at Oklahoma State, and I think Mike Gundy's offense is always, he's say what you want about Mike Gundy, but I feel like the quarterback play traditionally pretty solid there. And knowing what Bowman did at Texas Tech, I think he can have success at Oklahoma State. So I had Bowman just outside the top 10. Then I also had Jeff Sims, and I'm very intrigued with Jeff Sims because to me his ceiling is way higher than 10th or 11th. But I just need to see it with Matt Rule. So Jeff Sims, big time recruit. Remember, flipped from Florida State to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's, been a mess. Jeff Collins didn't know how to coach the quarterback position or offense, really. So Jeff Sims transfers to Nebraska. He'll be the starter. I think that's a good get for Matt Rule. The question is how fast can this offense fly? How fast can they fly? They got some wideouts in the portal. We'll see, but I do like that Jeff Sims play a lot. Potentially with the way that with the way, Matt Rule had PJ Walker at Temple, Charlie Brewer at Baylor. Well, I think the Walker one's the better comparison, but I think that's one that is intriguing to me. That was just on the outside to me. And if done right, I feel like Jeff Sims could be like top 5, but those are the ones I had just on the outside for 10. I'll mention some of the other ones on the honorable mention. At number 9, and this is where 24/7 Sports is just going to completely fucking disagree with me. At number 9, I had Sam Hartman. How could I have Sam Hartman? The guy's thrown 1 million touchdown passes. The reason is this. I think, and Patty C's alluded to this on our show before, that some of that is the slow mesh in Dave Clawson's offense. And let's be honest, Wake Forest has had some baller wide receivers in that time period. Notre Dame hasn't had a good. Notre Dame does not produce that. That is not a factory of wide receiver talent. Chase Claypool, Tim fucking Brown back in 1990. You don't got a lot of ballers coming out of Notre Dame at the wideout position. So I'm a bit of a skeptic. Another thing is he went to Notre Dame based on Tommy Rees being the OC. He committed. Tommy Rees then takes the Alabama job, and now Gerard Parker takes over. Parker was the tight ends coach. I know they're excited about his future, but it's not. There was talk that it was Andy Ludwig. There was talk that it was Colin Klein. Those two did not accept the position. So they're kind of getting, if they're so high on him, why was he your third pick perhaps? But either way, they lose Michael Meyer. I have a lot of questions on like how good Sam Hartman can be in this offense. We'll see. If you've been listening to the show for a while, I've always been a big fan of Sam Hartman at Wake, but I think he might regress some this year. I'm curious your take too, folks. Feel free to hop in the chat and call me a fucking idiot. But yeah, I have my questions. Shout out to Lane Elliott. College football is 365 over here. You're damn right, brother. What's up? Yeah. So I have Sam Hartman here, and I'll be honest. Like I thought I was being generous in a way. Sam Hartman runs the ball a lot. He's kind of a gunslinger a little bit. I feel like last year at least he was starting to throw the ball, take shots downfield more than other years. I don't know that it's a slam dunk as much as Notre Dame because he doesn't have the pieces around him. Yeah, offensive line play, sure. I think the offensive line play, if anything, is an upgrade from Wake Forest. But as far as the receiving talent, I need to see more. I get it. I know last year Drew Pine, not elite at passing the ball. Sure. I get it. But I'm not expecting to see the numbers. I think he'll have decent numbers. I don't think he'll have Clawson like numbers this next season, in South Bend. So at number 9, I do have Sam Hartman. All right, folks, I want to tell you before we get to number 8, I want to tell you we're brought to you by our driver giveaway. Yes. Look, we're brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast and their tailor-made driver contest. The contest is completely free to enter, and you have a chance to win an awesome tailor-made driver. The drawing will take place on Sunday, April 8th. So make sure you get in by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. All right. We are back. It's good when you're talking college football. Rob Donaldson in the chat saying Sam Hartman does have an athletic baseline to at least be better than what they've had for the past few years or so. I like his prospects at Notre Dame. Look, I love Sam Hartman, but I understand money is money. He probably got a good amount of money to go to Notre Dame. I'm just saying, I think you could have gone to more QB friendly places. That's all I'm saying. I think he's still going to have a solid year. I just don't think he's going to put up those Wake Forest numbers where they're running that slow mesh. Unless maybe they add some of that. I don't know. I'm intrigued when you have a first-time offensive coordinator in a QB that committed to the departing OC, just seems like it's kind of a mess a little bit. But I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued, and I wish Sam Hartman the best because he's been underrated for so long. Let's move along though. For me, number 7, and this one. Oh, I'm sorry, not number 7, number 8, because I did 10 and 9. 10 was Sam Jackson, and I hope you burn in hell. 9 was Sam Hartman, slinging Sammy Hartman. 8. Oh, you guys are gonna hate me on this one. I think it is Oregon State landing DJ Uiagalelei. Oh, am I excited to see how this works out? Okay, hear me out. Hear me out here. I get it. He looked like shit at Clemson, but not all the games. You look back the year Clemson was in the playoff. When Trevor Lawrence had the COVID shit, he went up to South Bend against a really good team, and he had like 400 yards or whatever it was. He had a great game, right? He sputtered since then, but you got to remember also, Brandon Streeter, the former Clemson quarterback, was his OC, and Brandon Streeter got fired this past year. DJ Uiagalelei was a 5-star recruit. Make no mistake about that. And at times you could see his raw skills, but you also saw last year, I think, a guy whose confidence were rattled. And I also think you saw a guy that didn't know what he was doing from an offensive coaching standpoint. Does DJU deserve some of that blame? Sure. But now he transfers to Oregon State, and Jonathan Smith, who I think is one of the more underrated coaches in America. Jonathan Smith played quarterback at Oregon State. Remember, he won the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame. 22 years ago or something, 23 years ago. But I believe this has been a missing piece of what Oregon State was really good last year. I think better than what people realize, because they're on the West Coast. They're on normally. They're not on main channels. So you have to find like the Pac-12 network, which obviously you have a better luck of catching a cockfight in Tijuana on some network than you do seeing the Pac-12 football games. So DJ Uiagalelei is a guy that I think could really blossom under Jonathan Smith and really needed the fresh start. And I think the pressure is gone. Clemson, they have pressure to win the national championship. Oregon State, sure, they have a great fan. I love the Oregon State fans, but I don't think the pressure is there. And if anything, I think this is such an upgrade considering what they were starting. Oregon State, what they win last year? 10? I think they won 10 games last year. And quarterback was a huge flaw for them. If you watch, they should have beat USC, but their quarterback play was an issue. Now they don't play USC this year, but they were 10-3, and their quarterbacks were throwing picks every other play. Lawn Chair University last year. DJ Uiagalelei, I like his athleticism. Talking about being able to extend some plays for a first down or something, or move around that pocket a little more, but just the overall talent. I think Jonathan Smith and Brian Lindgren, I think are super happy right now. Getting him, I honestly think that was like one of the better gets this whole portal season. I probably would have him higher. I probably think he's going to be higher than what I even have rated as, but I have to take into account what he did at Clemson. So, by the way, ECU does beat NC State 13-9. Once again, proving the world that proving to the world that East Carolina is the greatest institution on the planet, and NC State's just a bunch of filthy whores. Yes. But Rob Donaldson says, Uiagalelei reminds me of Cardell Jones. Yes. And to me, if he's coached correctly, which I think Jonathan Smith is going to be able to play into the strengths of DJ Uiagalelei. And I think also just releasing that pressure of being at Clemson, and also the fact that they had no idea what they were doing on offense. Oh, they went with Cade Klubnik. Not like he looked fucking great either. Now I think Klubnik will, because they bring in Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley. They'll have so the offense should be fine. But I love Uiagalelei in Corvallis, and I think look, call me crazy. I think the Pac-12 is fucking gonna be a lot of fun this year. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun this year. Take a look around the conference here. Michael Penix, arguably the best quarterback in the nation. Caleb Williams, arguably the best quarterback in the nation. Cam Rising, stud. Bo Nix back at Oregon. Cam Ward at Washington State. Love watching him play. And then you have these other teams that, Uyunglele added to Oregon State. Who knows what's going to happen? First off, Jaden DeLaura at Arizona's a baller too, but who knows what's going to happen in Tempe, right? Tempe, I feel like, they got Drew Pine. They got Conover, the transfer from BYU. They also landed Jaden Rashada. Who knows who the hell's starting in Tempe, but but then you look, Stanford always has decent quarterback play. So I don't even worry about that. Stanford probably have a lawn chair that's pretty serviceable. And then you have Sheduer Sanders at Colorado, Sam Jackson at Cal. The Pac-12 is very interesting to me this year. Joseph says in the chat, from top to bottom, the Pac-12 will be the best conference next year. Look, I thought it was the Big 12 this past year. I know that when Georgia won by like 70, everyone's like, "Oh, I see, Colby. How can it be the best conference?" I didn't mean that they had the best teams. Like the best team is in Georgia, because Georgia and Alabama were better than anyone in the Big 12 last year, even though Texas should have beat Alabama if it wasn't for a terrible ref game. But I'm saying from the strength of their whole conference, the Big 12 had no true lemons to me. If your worst team was Iowa State, which lost like every game by one score, I feel like, compared to look at the Big 10 when you have Rutgers, complete ass. You know what I mean? Northwestern, complete ass. Indiana, complete ass. The ACC, so the whole conference for the most part, with the exception of Florida State and Clemson, complete ass. SEC, there was Texas A&M, complete ass last year. Missouri, complete ass. Vanderbilt, complete ass. Last year's Pac-12, Stanford was complete ass, even though they won at Notre Dame. So you had these teams, maybe even Cal last year, or Colorado. There you go. Stanford and Colorado. The Big 12 didn't have that, in my opinion. The Big 12's worst team, I think, if they're in another conference, they probably go bowling. So, Rob Donaldson says, can't wait to live bet Wazoo and Oregon State at midnight this season. You and me both, brother. So yeah, I am super excited to see what DJU does at Oregon State. Now I'll be honest, I'm more excited than this next play. This next play is Devin Leary at Kentucky, who 24/7 Sports, by the way, has number 2. I don't buy this. Look, Devin Leary at NC State. Yes, he has raw skills. You'd be a fool to second guess that. But in my opinion, they were saying he was the best quarterback in the ACC last year coming into the season. I was perplexed at that. I was like, wait, we're going to say he's better than a lot of other very good quarterbacks, proven quarterbacks. They were like him or Ryan Van Dyke. Ryan Van Dyke or Tyler Van Dyke? Why am I getting confused right now? Tyler Van Dyke, I think it is, right? Who's Ryan Van Dyke? Former Michigan State quarterback. Anyway, they were just crowning, and I was like, Sam Hartman is by far the best quarterback in the ACC. I said him or Brennan Armstrong. Now Armstrong, I expected regression because his OC and the whole Virginia offense, I knew it was going to be a disaster with the Tony Elliott thing year 1. But also Malik Cunningham, I thought was flying under the radar. Phil Jerkovic was flying under the radar as far as skill set. Devin Leary, who I put in, and that's another one. Phil Jerkovic didn't make this list. Although I think Jerkovic's a complete stud. I actually think Jerkovic is better than Devin Leary, but he went to Pitt, and I can't trust the offensive philosophies of Pitt under Pat Narduzzi. I understand he went there because of the connection with his former OC from BC. I couldn't put it, but do I like Phil Jerkovic? Like if I was a coach, I would rather have Phil Jerkovic than Devin Leary. Now, I have to put Devin Leary above him because of what he's coming to. He's going to Kentucky, where I feel like they are trying to get back to what they were doing before they bring back Liam Cohen at the OC spot. He went to the LA Rams. Remember, before that he was the OC at Kentucky. And you saw the offense regress without him. So I think that's a good fit back. And Cohen is I think just a good offensive mind, so I think that will work out. I think from a statistical standpoint, do I think Kentucky's got a shot to win the SEC? 0. I don't think so. I think if anything, with Vanderbilt getting better. Now I still have Kentucky ahead of Vanderbilt, but I do think, they're pretty much like 3rd or 4th. You got to figure Georgia by far number 1, Tennessee, and you might even make the argument South Carolina is ahead of them. And with Vanderbilt getting better, who knows? Missouri, who knows? Drinkwitz, I was surprised he got extended. Florida, who knows? But I think they'll have a bowl season. I think he'll get another one of his classic payouts. Mark Stoops getting a nice check. But I think the offense will be better, and I think he'll put up some decent stats. But I was shocked. I like this kid, right? Devin Leary's got raw skills. Seems like a good guy. I don't understand. He to me though has been overhyped in college football. To me, I feel like every platform a season goes, this is the guy, number 1 guy, and I'm like, no. But I do think he's going to have a good season, and if anything, he'll be able. Leaving Tim Beck, I was not a big fan of Tim Beck at OC at North Carolina, so maybe he has a fantastic season, knowing he's no longer with Tim Beck, and he has, he's basically with an offensive mind and Liam Cohen that knows what they're doing. So, I have Devin Leary at number 7, and remember, they don't play much out of conference. They have a great. Mark Stoops is a genius. He does like an FCS, 2 terrible MAC schools, and Louisville every year. So you can really pad your stats in those 4 games. Louisville hasn't had a good defense since fucking Ray Buchanan. All right. So, great scheduling to pad your stats. So I think Leary will put up some very good stats, probably the best of his career in Lexington. Moving along, let's go to me, number 6. This one is a big if though. This one I could look like a fool. I am going with Keaton Slovis at BYU. Okay. Keaton Slovis was a big time recruit by by USC, right? He flashed occasionally, but he was injured all the time. And then last year, in my opinion, he was dumb enough to transfer to Pitt. I think he was following his girlfriend, to be fair. We've all been there, but I think his girlfriend was like a volleyball player. So he went to Pitt to chase her, not thinking about, hey, Mark Whipple's gone. They're not going to pass the ball much. And now he grad transfers to BYU, and he's going to be an Aaron Roderick's first season in the Big 12. But I think this offense can work. I think, you look back, first off, their OC, was a GA at BYU back in the day. So I imagine they're going to pass the ball a decent amount. And I just think Slovis fits the West Coast. And I think you look at the Big 12. First off, the Big 12, I know we just talked about how good the Pac-12 is going to be. Big 12 is going to be a lot of fun with all these new teams. I mean, where would you place Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, and UCF? I think they're in the mix. Wouldn't shock me if any of them ended up in the Big 12 championship. So I just think the shoe fits here. I think the shoe fits here. They're going to be running a more Slovis friendly offense. And I think they're going to put up points. They got that advantage in the altitude, that home environment. I actually think BYU in general, because they schedule so aggressively out of conference normally, I actually think they're the most equipped to go into Big 12 play, because I think the schedule actually eases up a little bit. So excited. I think it's going to work out though. If he stays healthy, this is where I could look like a fool, because this guy, Keaton Slovis, has been injured so much. It's hard to put a lot of faith in him being an elite quarterback when he can't complete a season most years. Year one, even what? So last year he started 11 games, but he got dinged up. I think what the not the Pitt game or not the West Virginia game. It was, I don't know. He got dinged up in one of the games the Tennessee game. So he was injured in the Tennessee game, and I think he might have missed another one. But look, go back to 2021. I think he only played 8 or 9 games, and then in 19, I think he played like the whole season. That's when he took over for JT Daniels, and he played the whole season, and he looked like, whoa. I think he had like 30 touchdowns or something that year. So that to me is what we could see this year in Provo with Keaton Slovis at the helm. Excited to see him. Last year he only threw, I think it was only like 10 or 12 touchdowns or something. So I think it opens back up now that he's back on the West, and he's an Arizona kid. Yeah, he didn't know what he was doing, and he was chasing his girlfriend to Pittsburgh. Got to be smarter than that, but we all live and learn. But that would be my number 6. At number 5, I'm going to take you off the grid a little bit of the Power Fives, because I loved this get. So what if I told you that the Fresno State quarterback, Jake Haener, who's a beast, threw for 68 touchdowns in the past 3 years at Fresno State. Now, I know 68 is a little bit, you'd think maybe more. We got to remember COVID with like a 5-game season one of those years. So all in all, in 32 games, threw for 68 touchdowns and just 18 interceptions. That was with Caleb DeBauer / Jeff Tedford. But remember, before that, Tedford was there. This is his second stint as the head coach of Fresno. Tedford's a quarterback guy. Kyle Bowler, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you go back and look at, Derek Carr. Jeff Tedford has been, a quarterback guru. So I have no fears about, Jeff Tedford coaching, good quarterback play. To me, if I was a quarterback, I would try to seek out Jeff Tedford. He was also QB coach at Fresno when Trent Dilfer and Billy Volek were there. He was at Oregon with Joey Harrington. Now, I know Joey Harrington wasn't a great pro, but these guys were all very good college football players. I really like this get. They went out and they got a guy, Mikey Keene. Now, if you watch UCF football last year, Mikey Keene only threw 6 touchdowns and had 1 interception. But that's because Gus Malzahn is not your traditional coach for great quarterback play. He likes to run his quarterbacks. It's a weird offense. All right. It works sometimes though, but it's a lot like the Rich Rod offense, I would say. Mikey Keene, the year prior when Josh Heupel was there, right? Was that Heupel? No, that was Malzahn year 1, but he was a Heupel recruit. Mikey Keene showed flashes, and Malzahn was stuck with him. He was stuck. That was before he brought in John Rice Plumlee from Ole Miss. So I think Mikey Keene can pass. See, he threw for 17 touchdowns that year and 6 picks in limited time. I think Mikey Keene is a guy to watch out for. And he lands at Fresno State with Jeff Tedford. Watch out. I think Jeff Tedford and Mikey Keene are it's going to work. I know they lose their wideout Josh Kelly to Washington as one of their best wideouts. I don't care. Fresno always got guys. They've had receivers since fucking Stephon Page. All right. And Henry Ellard and Stephen Touchdown Baker and David Dunn and Bernard Berry and Devontae Adams. They always got guys. Don't worry. Jalen Cropper. All right. They're going to have guys, and Mikey Keene. I'm very excited to see him in Fresno, California with Jeff Tedford. I think Jeff Tedford should be a Power 5 coach. I don't understand why he's not, because he's such an underrated coach. I love this get. I absolutely love this get. I think he'll put up pretty big numbers in Fresno, pretty big numbers. And I think they'll contend for a Mountain West championship this year. Yet again. Rob Donaldson saying, in all serious, JT Daniels is going to put up video game numbers at Rice. That's one I didn't, he was on my short list. He didn't make my top 10, but this is him in year 45. He should put up good numbers at Rice. I'm intrigued to watch Rice this year, man. He didn't make my top 10, but I'll tell you this, man. I think Rice opens with Texas. Everyone's talking Quinn Ewers. Everyone's talking Arch Manning. What if old JT Daniels gave the Longhorns a game? They got what? They got the McCaffrey kid there. They were fun to watch. The Rice was last year. I know it didn't. No, and that was one of NC Nick's teams. So I would love to see JT Daniels have a big year down there in Houston, Texas, in the new AAC with the Rice Owls, who could be bowling this year. All right, let's hop over and talk about my next quarterback. So Mikey Keene was my number 5. At number 4, and I'm curious, some people might say, dude, you're a fucking idiot. That's fair. Been an idiot plenty of times. But Sheduer Sanders is the son of Deion Sanders, right? I was impressed watching him play in the SWAC, but once again, I understand the SWAC competition level is not great, right? But you look at his stats, he's thrown 70 touchdowns and 14 picks. And I know they say he's trained with Tom Brady. Sure. Every year he trains with Tom Brady. Cool. All right. That doesn't mean you're a good quarterback, but I believe, watching that Celebration Bowl, I was impressed with, both. And I know Jackson State lost both of them, but specifically last year, I was impressed with Sheduer Sanders. But to me, the big get that solidifies. So if they did not get this guy, I would not have him in my top 10 list. But they did get Sean Lewis, who was the former head coach of the Kent State Golden Flashes, and man, did those offense pop. They popped against some good teams too. They played a crazy schedule. They're at a conference schedule. I think last year was Georgia, Oklahoma, and Washington. Insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Sean Lewis had Colin Schlee putting up great numbers, and I just believe in, this guy. Sean Lewis was the OC at Syracuse when they had that 10-win season. I think Sheduer Sanders and Sean Lewis are going to be able to move that ball. I think they're going to be very, I don't know how many games they'll win this year. I really don't, but I think they're going to move that ball. They got Cavassier Smoke in the backfield. They went and got a couple wideouts from South Florida. Jimmy Horn Jr. Forgetting the other guy's name right now. I think you're going to see Travis Hunter play wideout for them. And I think this offense is going to move. I really do. I think it's going to move. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Sheduer Sanders in this offense because this dual threat capability, I think they're going to run him some. If you watch Kent State, I feel like, or Syracuse, back what year was that? 18 maybe when they had 10 wins. I think that this offense is going to move the ball. It's going to move the ball. They still might not make a bowl. I'm not sure. I'm still waiting. I know that Deion says he's going to hit the portal hard, and the schedule's ridiculous because they don't play in FCS. They play 11 Power Fives in Colorado State, which is an arch rival. But I think he's going to put up great stats. I'll tell you that system is great. That system is great for, essentially it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like the Tennessee system with Heupel. They're going to put up good stats. Watch out. They're going to be must-watch TV every single week. Cannot wait to watch them. But Sheduer Sanders is one that's on my list because I feel like everyone's going to want to be part of that offense. And I think from a recruiting standpoint, it sells. So I know we're just talking this year, but even next year, I think he'll be a name to watch out for. So that is my number 4. At number 3, well, this is one I'm still shocked. This transition is happening in Madison, Wisconsin, where Phil Longo, former Mike Leach guy. So let me get this straight. Wisconsin, who's been running the ball for 1,000 fucking years, is going air raid. I'm shocked. Still don't know how the weather will be with this. I don't know if this is the right answer long term. I guess you could say it works for the Packers. They've been slinging the ball around, but I know in that side of the conference, short of Purdue with Brom, everyone else does not do that. So it is must watch TV to me every single week. But Tanner Mordecai out of Waco, Texas, transfers. So last year, Mordecai, first off, you remember Mordecai, he was an Oklahoma recruit back with Lincoln Riley. He threw 33 touchdowns last year and 39 the year prior. And now he's going as a grad transfer to Wisconsin to be with Phil Longo and throw the ball 75,000 times a game. Am I fascinated? Yes. Do I think it's going to work? I'm not sure. Will they put up big time yardage? I believe so. If you play college fantasy football, draft Tanner Mordecai. I think he's going to put up big numbers. I don't know if it's sustainable in a conference that plays like Iowa. And so like, to me, it's a strange thing that Wisconsin's doing this, because I don't know that they needed to, even though I guess you could say they were losing their edge. I don't know that they necessarily were. They're not that far removed from, but I understand, you've had terrible quarterback play short of the one Russell Wilson year. Man, it's going to be exciting. So I think Mordecai and Phil Longo, you've seen it with, here's the classic question. So Phil Longo comes over from North Carolina. Drake May just put up unbelievable numbers. Sam Howell, unbelievable numbers. I think Mordecai is going to put up those numbers, right? The downside though is those North Carolina teams were super soft and they had big time recruits. Defensively, they were super soft. Now I know Fickle's a defensive guy. Hopefully he can keep Wisconsin. They got rid of Jim Leonard. Can they keep Wisconsin's defense to be, somewhat respectable with this offense going? I think he might be able to, but it's must watch TV every fucking day. Every time they play a game, I think everyone's going to want to see Wisconsin football to see what is going on there. And I wonder, had this not been the portal era, this thing would be a train wreck this year. But now with the portal, I think he brought in 2 of his starting offensive linemen at Cincinnati. He brought in some other guys that I think some wideouts that can really contribute. So I'm fascinated by what's happening in Madison. I don't know that I think it's the right move. We'll see, but it's as far as stats go, you got to have this guy higher ranked. Tanner Mordecai is going to put up big stats unless he gets injured or something. Knock on wood. So I got Tanner Mordecai at number 3. At number 2, wow, they really let Jeff Brom come back to Louisville, where the Brom family name has been in Louisville, Kentucky for a long time. Oh, I'm excited to watch Louisville Cardinal football. And how about this? So Jack Plummer started at Cal last year. Threw 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, over 3,000 yards at Cal. The previous 3 years he was at Purdue, where he was battling. He got some starts, but he was battling Aiden O'Connell. Well, Aiden O'Connell's gone. He went going to the NFL. Jeff Brom takes the job at Louisville, and he brings Jack Plummer as a grad transfer from Berkeley all the way to Louisville, Kentucky. And I tell you, I'm very high on Louisville this year. I'm very high on Jeff Brom as a football coach. And I'm also very down on the ACC. I think Jack Plummer is going to light up the ACC. Let's be honest. When it comes to the ACC, okay. I know Syracuse just hired Rocky Long, who's a fucking defensive legend, inventor of the 3-3-5 defense. You got Narduzzi. Pitt's normally got a decent defense. I buy in there. After that, Clemson, who lost Venables, but they still play at a really high level. Okay. You got me buying in on what? 3 defenses. Miami's defense, awful. Florida State is getting better, but I don't know if it's a great defense. North Carolina is awful. Georgia Tech's, no, not good. Virginia, Actually, Virginia surprisingly had a decent year on defense last year, but they lost a ton of players. I don't think they're I don't think they're gonna have any issues with Virginia. Virginia Tech, no, didn't look great on defense. Boston College, no. Even Syracuse rocked along in year one. NC State, okay, that was a decent defense, but ECU was still able to move the ball on them. I think Jack Plummer is going to light the fucking ACC on fire. I think that there's a lot more bad teams. You look at what Brom did, took Purdue to the Big Ten championship last year. Big Ten's got elite defenses, especially in the Big Ten West. When you have defensive minds like Kirk Ferentz, right? Pat Fitzgerald. I know Northwestern was complete ass. Ryan Walters had the number one defense with the Illini with Brett Bielema. Jim Leonard was at Wisconsin. They were battling those defensive minds, and then sometimes you'd have to play Jim Harbaugh, good defense. Penn State, good defense. I think Jeff Brom and Louisville are going to make a big statement in year one. I think Jack Plummer, providing he stays healthy, is going to light it up this year in the ACC. So that is my number 2 transfer. I love this get. And you can make a case it should be number 1. You should make a case it should be number 1. I will stay in the ACC for number 1. What if I told you that there was a quarterback that should have been mentioned for Heisman Trophy 2 years ago, and he wasn't because the Heisman Trophy is a fucking popularity contest. It's a sham, just like a lot of their playoff rankings here, or preseason rankings, whatever you want to say. So last year there was a quarterback that only threw 7 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Yeah, granted he only played 10 games, but still terrible stats. That was Brennan Armstrong. Brennan Armstrong recruited high school safety. Bronco Mendenhall recruited him to play quarterback at Virginia. The year prior, he threw for 31 touchdowns, and he had 4,500 yards of offense. Oh, did I add in also that he rushed for 9 touchdowns that year too? Well, his offensive coordinator was Robert Anae, who we just saw him go to Syracuse and take Syracuse to a bowl game. Syracuse offense finally moved, even though they had the shredder, Garrett Schrader. Now, Robert Anae leaves for NC State. And look, you know me. I hate NC State. But they finally got it right. Tim Beck was holding NC State back, in my opinion. I think Robert Anae, former Mike Leach guy, by the way, shout out to our friend Coach Leach. Rest in peace. As we got our section, our Leach section over there with the Pirate. If you're watching youtube.com/the college experience, I think Brennan Armstrong and NC State are going to light things up this year in his final year of college eligibility. I'm actually glad in a way. Actually, no, I'd still rather see ECU play them, fuck up their season. But man, I think the shoe fits now. I think the shoe fits. NC State's offense has been trash lately. I think this year it's going to thrive. And I'm excited to see the ACC quarterback play that everyone was talking about last year with Hartman and Leary and Van Dyke, Jerkovic. Well, I guess Jerkovic's still there. I think this year is the more exciting year because you add in what you got Klubnik now with Garrett Riley, right? Super exciting. I think Garrett Riley's going to fix that offense, right? Then you got Drake May, who's definitely emerged as preseason Heisman favorite. I saw Mac Brown say he should be the first pick of the draft next year. We'll see. I said that about Hal also, but you still got Jerkovic in the league. Who knows how that works out at Pitt? But getting Plummer, getting Armstrong, Florida State and Miami also bringing back their QBs, even though they lost Garcia in Miami. I think the ACC is more interesting as a quarterback conference this year than it was last year. So I think Brennan Armstrong's a home run get with Robert Anae. It had to be that package because those two know how to work well together. And I think this offense is going to flourish. Can't wait to watch some of these ACC games. And that is my number 1. So look, if you were to compare that, 24/7 Sports. Like I said, their top 10 is this: Sam Hartman 1, Leary 2. I couldn't disagree more. Hudson Card 3. Now Hudson Card's an interesting one because he was good at Texas, thought a little bit underrated. He's gone. He transfers to Purdue. Purdue, brand new coach Ryan Walters, former Colorado safety, most recently defensive coordinator at Illinois. He brings in Graham Harrell, who was the OC of USC a couple years ago. Last year he was at West Virginia, where they didn't really light the world on fire. But I could see Hudson Card putting up good numbers too. It's a little more unknowns to me. I know the cupboard is a little empty when Brown left Purdue, so I wouldn't have him there. They have Sheduer Sanders at number 4, which ironically I think I had him at 4 as well. Colin Schlee at 5. Huh. Well, UCLA has Dante Moore, who they recruited. I'm not even sold Schlee is going to start, but Schlee also put up big numbers at Kent State. I disagree with this one. I disagree with them having number 5. Number 6, they have Walker Howard, the big recruit from LSU who lands at Ole Miss. To me, one of these Ole Miss ones is probably deserving of the top 10, but they have Sanders. Who else they got? They got 3 guys that are competing for this job. But Sanders and Howard, I think, are the transfers in. Right? That sounds accurate. Yes. But until I know which one's starting, I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, this is the best get." So they got Walker Howard at 6, Brennan Armstrong at 7, Mordecai at 8, Uyungale at 9, Spencer Sanders at 10. Right? And then after that, they have Mertz at Florida. So Spencer Sanders, to me, I don't know. I mean, maybe Lane Kiffin can do things. There's plays where he looks amazing. There's plays where he looks awful. And that's kind of been a story in college football in his whole tenure, really. But obviously he's super experienced. He could have a great year. And I think Lane, knows what he's doing offensively. Something that the Oxford situation is fascinating. Whoever starts, I expect the other to be transferring. So if it's not Sanders, if it's like these rankings and Howard starts and Sanders hits the road, it's going to be fascinating to see where he lands, because you talk about a guy who's got like how many starts does that guy have under his belt? But that'll be fascinating to see. But Graham Mertz at Florida is one where I'm like, huh? I get it. Jack Cohn looked a lot better when he left Wisconsin and went to Notre Dame. He's going to look great. I don't know how you have Mertz over Jeff Sims or even some of these other ones. Like, and here's an interesting one was Luke Altmaier, who was the backup at Ole Miss. He goes to Illinois. I find this move interesting because Illinois had terrible quarterback play really like the past since fucking Kirk Kittner, I feel like, or Jeff George. But Altmaier to Illinois is an underrated one that they have here. Sam Huard, obviously son of Damon Huard. He leaves Washington 5-star to go to Cal Poly in the FCS. That's going to be interesting to see with Paul. What was that? Paul Wolf. Memory serves me correct. Kyron Drones to Virginia Tech. Interesting. Baylor transfer. Big time, somewhat of a big time recruit. Jake Garcia leaves Miami for Missouri. I think that's one that's very interesting. Very interesting right there. Besides that though, I mean, look, they have Mikey Keene and Keaton Slovis way down this fucking list. All right. They have him in and by the way, Cade McNamara to Iowa. I think that's a great get for Iowa. Now, I can't put them in my top 10 because I don't think they're going to put up numbers that will be super impressive. But as far as like better quarterback play, if you're an Iowa Hawkeye fan, you got to be optimistic here. Besides that, yeah, I mean, some of these ones, Hank Bachmeier is an interesting one to me. They have Jack Plummer so far and Jerkovic so far down this list. It's fascinating. Jerkovic, maybe I understand because Pitt's offense, but Jack Plummer is going to light up. He's going to light it up in the ACC. Mark my words. Mark my words. Emory Jones goes to Cincinnati. I could see Satterfield's offense catering to him better than the previous stops, but I don't think he'll light the world on fire. Bachmeier is interesting though. He's got 2 years remaining, and at La Tech, it could be interesting. Sonny Cumbie fires that ball around a lot, and I feel like Bachmeier is that lawn chair that could really kind of kill it there. It's going to be interesting to watch. But those Haynes King is probably going to be the starter at Georgia Tech. I don't know how much I can Georgia Tech seems to be a bit of a mess. But yeah, those are the big ones there. I mean, they have JT Daniels just way down this list. Eli Stowers is probably going to be the starting quarterback in New Mexico State. I don't know. I feel like my top 10 is pretty honest, and I cannot wait to see a lot of those. I feel like my top 10 is better than their top 10. All right. I don't know if they're basing it off stats or they just think like if they're basing it by like NFL draft pick status, then maybe I understand it. But as far as like next year going to be lighting up college football, I like my list a lot better, folks. That's my list. This is our episode. Subscribe to the College Football Experience because we are breaking down everything. We're going to go through position battles, all this great stuff, spring games, top games. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow night. Me, Patty C, NC Nick drafting week 1, our best matchups of week 1, the top 30 picks as we're going week by week. The following week will be week 2. We already released week 0. Go listen to it. We already talked about all the coaching hires. Go listen to those episodes. Graded every coaching hire. We already talked conference schedule releases, went through every team's schedule in all of D1. So go check out all those episodes that are out there. And folks, we're just getting started here. Hope you enjoy it. Give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. And I'm excited to come back tomorrow and talk more college football. Now that college basketball ends, we're thriving here 5 days a week, putting in the reps with college football. Subscribe to the College Football Experience, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts at. That's the real way to, help us out here. So do that. Give us a 5-star review if you can. Haven't gotten one in a while because college football season, it goes a little, light on the 5-star reviews or the reviews in general in the dark season. But come on, maybe you guys can hop over there, do me a solid. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to ask any questions. I'll answer them on air. All right. So hop on over there, College Football Experience, on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. Also, we're on YouTube. Well, first off, I also host the College Basketball Experience and the College Baseball Experience. Subscribe to both those. Baseball season is still in full swing. Basketball season winded down yesterday, but don't forget, we're talking portal coaching hires. We're still releasing every week. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Subscribe, tell a friend, get that SGPN app for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. And also check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. And yeah, until tomorrow. And by the way, come talk college football with us in the Discord too. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Until tomorrow, folks, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know what you're getting because the books we written with the gamblers. Everybody's trying to stop this team, but we keep on knocking them dead. They make opposing coaches wanna cuss